Hello and welcome. So not that long ago I done a top 10 action movies. So today I'm going to talk about one of an action hero legend, frankly, of someone that I have always loved since I've been a little kid and watched his movies, and obviously till now. And that is going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm just going to, say off here, obviously like my other top 10s, it's pure and simply just the films that I, very much enjoy, the most of them. I am also going to kind of just say, I am going to kind of keep it down to one per a certain franchise. So I'm not going to lie, it's only going to be the one Terminator film. Mostly because I'm not going to lie, there's only the one Terminator film that I generally love the most out of all of them anyway. It would only be the one Conan film, but I'm going to tell you right now, there isn't actually any Conan films in here. I've never been huge on the Conan films. Sorry, not a great start right now, but anyway, so let's begin, shall we, on my top 10 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Number 10, The Last Stand. So after a long hiatus as the Governor of California, you almost feel like you're making that up, but he actually returned, and this was his first main kind of role. Obviously, he appeared in The Expendables, but in terms of actual main role with The Last Stand. Now, this is going to be a film I think, personally, a lot of people might be going, really? That seems like a very odd kind of choice to have on the list. It's not particularly that great, but I don't know, it's something for me. I think it was actually quite a good little return for him. I think there's a nice little cast around him as well. I think Schwarzenegger does a good little job for, what he does, and people always say, well, this one is like, oh, he's gotten worse in his acting, but, let's be honest, it's not exactly great in the first place anyway, but I think there's some nice little bit of action here. I do think Schwarzenegger's quite good. I like how they bring in more of, that he's older now, and I like all that kind of stuff for me. Number 9, Twins. One of the great things I always liked about Schwarzenegger, he's not just the fact that he's great at action, but also the fact that he's actually pretty damn good with comedy. And I think it shows here with Twins. He is great with Danny DeVito, shows how much great he is that he comes back again from a junior. Maybe not as great, I think, in terms of where he was with him in Twins, but I love the chemistry, simply what he has with Danny DeVito in Twins, and is why it's in this list. Number 8, Jingle All The Way. Not just simply one of my favourite Schwarzenegger films, also one of my favourite Christmas films. And I just watch it there. Every time Christmas comes around, I will always watch Jingle All The Way. In fact, it's actually always the Christmas film I watch first. I always kind of like to kind of make it the first one. And much like Twins, it has that kind of Schwarzenegger once again shows why he seems to really just nail the comedy. Also, just point out, a thing that Stallone never seems to kind of go. Whenever he tried to do comedy, it always went kind of fell flat in the films for me personally. But here again, Schwarzenegger just excels in the comedy films. Number 7, True Lies. So Schwarzenegger basically as a spy, I always really enjoyed this one. It took me actually quite a while to actually quite like this film. And I'm not gonna lie, True Lies was a Schwarzenegger film I liked more later on in my life. I didn't really like as a kid, because there's no point in lying. Schwarzenegger isn't his usual kind of, he chucks out the lines as much. I always feel, I feel like True Lies is a little bit kind of strict back a little bit, maybe because I don't know, that was the kind of style they were going for possibly, but he obviously still has the lines. But I always quite like True Lies. I think it has good action, very good action actually. I think it's actually quite nicely done, some of the stuff. Some of the themes are quite backwards, I guess, if I remember really, in True Lies, but overall I've always very much enjoyed the film. Number 6, The Running Man. I've seen The Running Man I don't know how many times, and I've always enjoyed so many more times each time watching it, because it was part of his kind of start out career, of his overall career, and you can still kind of tell, but for me, I have always quite, there's some great humour in here, which I think it starts to show with Schwarzenegger why he's really good with it, but also just the action for me I always quite enjoyed. But the whole concept of The Running Man I always quite liked. I think it's quite an interesting concept. Number 5, Total Recall. Yeah, I've always enjoyed Total Recall. I think outside of Schwarzenegger alone, I think it has great, in terms of the action, the sets, the prosthetics, the casting, everything about this film, I've always very much liked. The visual effects, I think, is really quite good. It's always quite good today, and I think it still quite holds up. Okay, some things look a bit kind of a bit odd, but, I love the bar scene. I think there's a lot of iconic stuff in Total Recall when you think about it. There's a lot, the 3 baby women you have, there's a lot of iconic stuff in Total Recall that is, and sadly they had to remake it. Shock horror Hollywood. Number 4, Kindergarten Cop. Now, another great example of just how good Schwarzenegger is with comedy, and Kindergarten Cop is just another great example. it is probably one of my favourites, so it is in this list in terms of his comedy-wise films. I think he just really kind of just excels here. You can see he's like, in terms of his kind of performance-wise, that he's quite obviously clearly a good bit into his career where, you know, he really knows how to shine it with in terms of his kind of comedy acting skills. It also has some nice action actually at the start. I actually do quite like some of the action that we get, because it's quite dark at some points, but then also I quite like the kind of, the reason why I'm not gonna lie, I love it. There's some great stuff of just typical 90s music that plays when they're driving at the start of the film going to the school. I love 90s piano kind of type music. This is something about I've always quite enjoyed, but overall I always will enjoy Kindergarten Cop. It's a film I always go back to and love every single second watching it. Number 3, Predator. Yeah, for me, one of his greats of the action films. I've always enjoyed Predator. I do obviously love sci-fi as well as obviously action, so having a great mix, much like Total Recall with Predator, I think is great. And you know, he's really quite believable as well, Schwarzenegger. I think he plays it really well. You know, you could say, oh, he just plays, you know, just some random kind of army guy, whatever, you know, but I don't know, I think Schwarzenegger does it really well in this film. It's fun, it's exciting, it's adventurous, everything I want in a Schwarzenegger action film, to be honest. Number 2, Commando. Commando was basically Schwarzenegger's first kind of solo action film, I guess you could say. I mean, you can tell that. I mean, he is a bit kind of I don't know how to kind of like word it without sounding a bit offensive to him, but you know, he's a bit kind of drawn a little bit, but what he does in terms of the action, I still love, and the one-liners are great. I love in this film. I watched it again recently, and I still love Commando. I love there's no point denying it. Commando is very over the top, and I like that. I mean, the fact that then kind of near sequence where he's shooting all those guys, and not one of them seemed to kind of hit Schwarzenegger. I mean, he's a huge, muscly guy. I don't know how they can't seem to not one of them hits. I also love the fact that his ammo just doesn't seem to kind of go whatsoever. It just keeps on going. Number 1, Terminator 2. Well, shock horror that this is my first one, given the fact that it's my favourite action movie in the top 10 action movies, so it shouldn't be a big surprise really here, but I'm not going to say much really, I guess, here, because obviously I did talked about a lot of Terminator 2, one of my action films top 10, but for me, you know, I always loved Terminator 2. I think it took what the first one done and excelled even more. And I do like the first one, but I just think what the second one does is just, it really pushes everything, and I really do just adore the film. I think this is Schwarzenegger's best performance in an action movie as well. I think what he does in this movie, with if it is, you know, there is times he does the comedy moments, but you know, when he does the serious moments, I do believe him. You know, with the, you know, if it's the scenes with the kid and John Connor and all that, I do think he is good. And does he not get the credit? I think the people always just go on, oh, he's just, you know, he's bad. I don't know. I don't think that personally, but obviously the action as well. I will always love the action Terminator 2. I think it is some great action in that film. So yeah, that's my top 10 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. What do you guys think? Do you like my list? Do you think it's absolutely shit? Please tell me, do comment down below. Tell me your top 10 list of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Comment down below, I'd love to know more videos in the future. So until then, see you later.